Napoleon Bonaparte remains one of history's most fascinating and consequential figures, whose meteoric rise from obscurity to emperor reshaped Europe and influenced global politics for generations. Born into a minor Corsican noble family during a period of tremendous upheaval, he would become a military genius, political innovator, and ultimately a cautionary tale about the intoxicating nature of absolute power. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15, 1769, in Ajaccio, Corsica, just 1 year after the island's annexation by France from the Republic of Genoa. This timing would prove fortuitous, as it allowed him French citizenship and access to French military education. His father, Charles Bonaparte, was a lawyer who managed to ingratiate himself with the French authorities, securing scholarships for his sons at French schools. At age 9, Napoleon was sent to mainland France for his education, first at the College of Autun, and later at the prestigious École Militaire in Paris. Despite facing mockery for his Corsican accent and relatively humble origins, he excelled in mathematics, geography, and military studies. His voracious reading included works by Voltaire, Rousseau, and classical military strategists, shaping his worldview and tactical thinking. Graduating as a second lieutenant in the artillery at age 16, Napoleon was stationed in various French garrisons during the early years of the French Revolution. Initially supporting Corsican independence under Pasquale Paoli, he gradually shifted his allegiance to revolutionary France as opportunities for advancement became apparent. His family's flight from Corsica to mainland France in 1793, following a falling out with Paoli, marked the end of his Corsican phase and his full commitment to French service. The French Revolution created unprecedented opportunities for talented individuals to advance rapidly through merit rather than birth. Napoleon seized these opportunities with remarkable skill and timing. His first major breakthrough came in 1793, during the siege of Toulon, where his innovative artillery tactics helped recapture the port from British and Royalist forces. This success earned him promotion to brigadier general at the extraordinarily young age of 24. However, his career nearly ended during the Thermidorian reaction, following Robespierre's fall. Briefly imprisoned for his Jacobin associations, Napoleon's political acumen helped him navigate this dangerous period. His crucial moment came on 13 Vendémiaire, October 5, 1795, when he used artillery to disperse Royalist protesters threatening the Directory, earning him the nickname General Vendémiaire and command of the Army of Italy. The Italian campaigns of 1796–1797 transformed Napoleon from a promising general into a European sensation. Leading a demoralized and poorly equipped army, he employed revolutionary tactics combining speed, concentration of force, and psychological warfare. His victories at Lodi, Arcole, and Rivoli not only secured French dominance in northern Italy, but also demonstrated his genius for inspiring troops and outmaneuvering larger enemy forces. The Treaty of Campo Formio, 1797, established him as France's premier military commander and a significant political figure. Recognizing that continued success required avoiding the political turmoil in Paris, Napoleon proposed and led the Egyptian expedition, 1798–1799. Though militarily inconclusive, this campaign enhanced his legend and allowed him to study Oriental cultures while awaiting the right moment to return to France. When news of French military defeats in Europe reached him, he abandoned his army and returned to Paris, where political instability made his intervention both possible and necessary. The coup of 18 Brumaire, November 9, 1799, brought Napoleon to power as first consul in what was ostensibly a three-man leadership, though he quickly established his dominance. The new constitution of the year the Eight provided democratic legitimacy while concentrating executive power in Napoleon's hands. His political genius lay in presenting himself as the revolution's defender while gradually assuming monarchical powers. Napoleon's domestic achievements during the consulate were as significant as his military victories. The Concordat of 1801 reconciled revolutionary France with the Catholic Church, healing a major social divide. The Civil Code, later known as the Napoleonic Code, synthesized revolutionary principles with legal traditions, creating a framework that influenced legal systems worldwide. Administrative reforms created the modern French bureaucratic state, including the merit-based educational system and the Legion of Honor. Economically, Napoleon stabilized French finances through the creation of the Bank of France and efficient tax collection. His infrastructure projects, including roads and canals, modernized France while providing employment. The continental system, though ultimately unsuccessful, represented an early attempt at economic warfare against Britain. Military victories continued to enhance Napoleon's prestige. The Battle of Marengo, 1800, secured French dominance in Italy, while diplomatic successes like the Treaty of Amiens, 1802, provided temporary peace with Britain.
However, the discovery of royalist plots against his life, particularly the Cadoudal plot, convinced Napoleon that only imperial dignity could provide sufficient security and legitimacy. Napoleon's coronation as Emperor of the French on December 2, 1804, marked the transformation of the Revolutionary Republic into a new form of monarchy.
By crowning himself in the presence of Pope Pius VII, he symbolically demonstrated his independence from both traditional monarchy and religious authority, while claiming legitimacy from both revolutionary principles and divine sanction. The period from 1805 to 1807 represented the apex of Napoleon's military genius. The Grande Armée, reorganized into corps system, allowing unprecedented flexibility and speed, became Europe's most formidable military force. The Ulm-Austerlitz campaign, 1805, demonstrated Napoleon's strategic mastery. While Admiral Nelson's victory at Trafalgar ended French naval ambitions, Napoleon's crushing defeat of Austrian and Russian forces at Austerlitz on the anniversary of his coronation established French hegemony on the continent. The campaigns of 1806-1807 extended French dominance across Central Europe. The lightning victory over Prussia at Jena-Auerstedt destroyed Frederick the Great's supposedly invincible military machine. The subsequent campaign against Russia, culminating in the bloody but decisive victory at Friedland, forced Tsar Alexander III to negotiate. The treaties of Tilsit, 1807, partitioned Europe between France and Russia, representing the zenith of Napoleon's power. These victories allowed Napoleon to reshape Europe according to his vision. The Holy Roman Empire was dissolved, German states were reorganized into the Confederation of the Rhine, and satellite kingdoms were established under Bonaparte family rule. The continental system was expanded to exclude British goods from European markets, attempting to strangle Britain economically. The continental system represented Napoleon's attempt to defeat Britain through economic warfare, but it contained the seeds of his eventual downfall. The system required European compliance, leading to conflicts with traditional allies and neutral states. Portugal's refusal to close its ports to British trade prompted French intervention, while the Spanish royal family's internal disputes provided an opportunity for Napoleon to install his brother Joseph as king. The Peninsular War, 1808-1814, became Napoleon's Spanish ulcer, a persistent drain on French resources and prestige. Spanish guerrilla warfare, supported by British expeditionary forces under the Duke of Wellington, created a new model of national resistance. The brutal suppression of Spanish uprisings, immortalized in Goya's paintings, damaged Napoleon's reputation as a liberator and inspired nationalist movements across Europe. Meanwhile, tensions with Russia grew over trade disputes and territorial disagreements. Tsar Alexander's gradual withdrawal from the continental system threatened its effectiveness, while disputes over Poland and the Balkans strained the Tilsit alliance. Napoleon's marriage to Austrian Archduchess Marie-Louise, 1810, following his divorce from Josephine, was intended to legitimize his dynasty and secure Austrian alliance, but it alienated Russia further. The Russian campaign of 1812 marked the beginning of Napoleon's downfall. Assembling the largest army in European history, over 600,000 men from across his empire, Napoleon invaded Russia, expecting a quick, decisive victory. However, Russian strategy of strategic withdrawal, avoiding major battles while devastating the countryside, frustrated French plans. The Battle of Borodino, September 7, 1812, was tactically inconclusive but strategically disastrous for Napoleon. Though French forces occupied Moscow, the city's burning and Russian refusal to negotiate forced a catastrophic winter retreat. Harassed by Cossacks, decimated by disease and cold, and hampered by supply failures, the Grande Armée effectively ceased to exist. Fewer than 30,000 combat-effective soldiers returned from the campaign. The disaster in Russia encouraged European powers to form a new coalition. The War of Liberation, 1813-1814, saw Prussia, Austria, and Russia unite against French hegemony. Despite tactical victories at Lutzen and Bautzen, Napoleon could not replace his lost veterans or match the combined resources of the coalition. The decisive Battle of Leipzig, October 1813, known as the Battle of the Nations, forced French evacuation from Germany. As coalition armies invaded France, Napoleon's brilliant defensive campaign of 1814 demonstrated his tactical genius, but could not overcome numerical disadvantages and war weariness. The capture of Paris by Allied forces and defection of key marshals forced his abdication on April 6, 1814. The Treaty of Fontainebleau exiled him to the island of Elba, while restoring the Bourbon monarchy under Louis XVIII. Napoleon's exile on Elba proved temporary. Discontent with Bourbon restoration, economic difficulties, and his magnetic personality enabled his dramatic return during the 100 Days, March-June 1815. Landing near Cannes with a handful of supporters, he marched to Paris, saw army units defect to him in succession, culminating in Louis XVIII's flight. However, European powers immediately declared war, refusing to accept Napoleon's return. Despite attempts at liberal constitutional reform to broaden his support, Napoleon faced overwhelming opposition. The Waterloo campaign represented his final attempt to divide and defeat his enemies before they could unite their full strength. The Battle of Waterloo, June 18, 1815, ended Napoleon's career definitively. Despite initial tactical advantages, coordination failures, weather delays, and the timely arrival of Prussian forces under Blücher gave Wellington's coalition army victory. Napoleon's defeat was so complete that Waterloo became synonymous with decisive failure. Napoleon's second abdication led to permanent exile on the remote South Atlantic island of St. Helena. Under British supervision, he spent his final 6 years writing memoirs, receiving visitors, and cultivating his legend. His Mémorial de Sainte-Hélène, dictated to Emmanuel de Las Cases, shaped historical interpretation of his career for generations. Death came on May 5, 1821, officially from stomach cancer, though some historians have suggested other causes. His final years on St. Helena revealed both his continued charisma and his human limitations. Quarrels with British administrators, declining health, and isolation took their toll. But he remained a compelling figure whose influence extended far beyond his physical presence. Napoleon's historical impact extends far beyond his military conquests. The Napoleonic Code influenced legal systems across Europe, Latin America, and parts of Africa and Asia. His administrative innovations, educational reforms, and merit-based advancement principles helped create the modern state. The concept of nationalism, both as a tool of French expansion and as a reaction against it, reshaped European politics permanently. Militarily, Napoleon revolutionized warfare through his emphasis on speed, concentration, and psychological factors. His strategic principles influenced military thinking into the 20th century, while his tactical innovations changed battlefield dynamics forever. The levée en masse and professional officer corps became standard features of modern armies. Politically, Napoleon represented both the culmination and betrayal of Enlightenment ideals. While spreading revolutionary principles across Europe, he also demonstrated how democratic movements could evolve into authoritarianism. His career illustrated both the potential and dangers of charismatic leadership, serving as a model and warning for future generations. The Napoleonic Wars fundamentally altered European balance, accelerating German and Italian unification movements while weakening traditional monarchies. The Congress of Vienna's attempt to restore pre-revolutionary stability could not entirely erase the changes Napoleon had wrought. His influence on European consciousness, law, administration, and political development proved more enduring than his territorial conquests. Napoleon Bonaparte thus remains a pivotal figure whose complex legacy continues to generate debate among historians. His combination of military genius, political innovation, and personal ambition created a template for modern leadership while demonstrating the eternal tension between individual greatness and democratic governance. His story serves as both inspiration and cautionary tale, reminding us that exceptional individuals can reshape their times while remaining subject to the limitations of human nature and historical circumstance. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more engaging historical content.